defense handled themselves yesterday?
Oh, I think that's a perfect word. Very proud of those guys and the way they fought. We've still got a lot of things, to clean up and made some mistakes. But I just thought their effort, attitude, the confidence level, and everything. Even when the dam broke a couple of times, the response, it was always one of confidence, and it rebounded off of big plays and bad plays. And I thought, finished the game, and they really did a good job. Real proud of that. We still make some mistakes that we've got to clean up, and of course that's coaching, and we've got to take that responsibility and get it straight.
I was just catching up, able to return to practice. So.
He did. We didn't do any contact today. His neck's real sore, but he did everything everybody else did. But we were in t-shirts and no contact.
What was the diagnosis? Was it just a stinger? Or what
It was a stinger, but it was, to him it was more severe. He said he'd had them before, and it just felt different. And I think once they got out there to him, they took a very precautionary track on it. But as we know right now, and I don't want to get too specific because I don't know all the technicalities, but it's pretty serious neck sprain or stinger, but nothing extremely, nothing that you'd would say is critical or anything that he can't play. Just a matter of time, when that thing sort of relaxes and the tension and the swelling and all the things that come with those things. Just how soon does it leave,
So you'd be optimistic about him playing this week, or would you look to hold him out?
I'm gonna wait and see. They thought of 48 hours. We don't practice tomorrow, so they thought a 48-hour period they could really tell us a lot better. I'm always kind of be optimistic. If you can't have any contact this week, I always lean toward not letting them play, but they haven't told me that yet. So
Anthony Swain looked like he stepped in and did a good job for you. Talked about that.
he really did, and he's one I'm really proud of because when Chris had the ejection 2 or 3 games ago, I had to move him to the Mike linebacker that week as an emergency backup for Jake. And we got through that, but he spent the whole week at Mike and then never got to play. And then the following week, I moved him back to Will, and he has played behind Casanova, and we take the Will linebacker out when we go to our dime package. So it ends up that the Will linebacker doesn't have as many repetitions, he's not as tired, so I don't rotate Cass as often. But Anthony had to play a lot of plays. And not because he hadn't been ready to play, it's because of just how it rotated him. And I just really thought he played outstanding for the number of reps he's had in the game and played in 2 different positions over the previous 2 or 3 weeks. We're real proud of the way he handled it. And he even practiced a little bit at Mike this past week. Chris's shoulder was a little bit sore, so I told him to get some of Chris's reps one day. But he had a really good game. He was very productive. He only had a couple of missed assignments, and neither one of them were critical. And I thought he just had a really outstanding game.
You gave them some different looks up front. What did you see when you watched them about how do you think those worked for you?
Well, we didn't do a whole lot different. We slid our front different directions based on what we felt like the play tendency was. We played our base 4-man front in most cases, just tried to slide it to where we felt like the most likely point of attack was going to be. I thought our front players just played better fundamentally, and we played aggressively. They made a lot more plays just getting off of blocks and making tackles and so forth. The pass rush was obviously a heck of a lot better. And Rodney continues to rotate a lot of people. He's bringing those young guys along and doing a heck of a job, getting them ready. They're starting to feel comfortable in the system now, not just the physical elements, but they're starting to get comfortable with their assignments now. So they're getting more and more reps, and they made some good plays for us.
It looked like you stood your defensive ends up quite a bit. Was that by design? What was that?
We do that quite often with teams that run the read option off the line of scrimmage, and did it a lot versus our own offense over spring, and look at it. If there's no tight end in place or tight end close to being at the point of attack, we stand them up sometimes so they can see better on where the back's level is, and if somebody coming in motion and that type of thing.
What did you see from Nosa this week, and what in practice the last couple thought he would make a good transition to tackle?
Rodney kind of made that transition about a week ago in practice, and wanted to just look at him in there. When he walks in the room, you feel like he looks like a defensive end, but he seems more natural in there. His technique, his fundamentals, and he played very solid. He's a little undersized with most of the linemen in this league, but he just, he plays with great leverage. And and he played a good game.
What's called loss and what's kind of clicked with him?
Well, this latest week, he's one I would particularly mention. He really is starting to feel more comfortable with his assignments, and he's able to play and turn himself loose. He's always been physical and reckless, but when you do that and you're making a mistake or you're going the wrong way, it can obviously be a bad situation. But he's just getting more and more comfortable with what his job is and the assignment, and his blitz gaps, his stunts, and all the different things he's got to do. We had some really good pass rush the other day, most of it one-on-one, but he had a great move on a twist, that something he would have been struggling with a couple of weeks ago. So he's certainly a bright spot that we're getting that production, and hopefully we plan to get a lot more.
The long balls that Ryan White gave up, was he in the position that you'd like to see him in and just didn't make the play? Or?
He did a good job, and obviously he got beat on the play, but what happened on that is the quarterback stepped up in the pocket and took about 4.5, 5 seconds to get that off. On that particular coverage, we didn't have anybody jamming the receiver. He was playing off, and he does have that receiver throughout the route. So it was a tough coverage. He kind of caught us in the wrong thing at the wrong time, and he had pretty good position on it, but boy, the ball was perfectly thrown where he couldn't make a play on it with his hand. The receiver really almost lost it because it was well out on his fingertips. So it was a good route, a great throw, and the quarterback moved around in the pocket just long enough to be able to get that ball off, and stepped up in a window and moved up and bought a little bit of time and threw it.
Robinson's pick, just talk about that play and then also his progression throughout this season, what you've seen from him.
The reason?
Yes.
It's been good. A couple of games like LSU was not really his style of game, but when he was out on those wideouts playing, I thought he did a good job. But in most of the other games, he's had a lot of responsibility out in space, which is what that hybrid's got to do, and has done a really good job. He had one pass interference. He actually slipped, and really he got illegally picked by the receiver, but they're not going to call that. But he got bumped, and it knocked him off balance, and he slipped a little bit. He didn't have good position. And other than that one play, I thought he played really well. He had a couple of times where he tried to throw the little sideways bubble screen, and could have forced it a little bit quicker. But he had an outstanding game. And one sideline on that is McEnroe got about 9 reps to sub him, and I bet those reps down the line are going to help him. That's the first time he's really had any true game experience. He did some good things, so that'll be something we hope in the future we can give him some rotation a little bit out there.
What did you see on that pick? It looked like he kind of jumped the play, or it was almost like he was surprised the ball was there.
Well, they were both up in press coverage, and the receivers, of course, rubbed it and made an intentional, bump on him, whatever. But most times those don't get called. They look like they're running around. But he just got behind it and had to recover, and he never really got back in phase. What he should have done is just finally, just turn back and try to find the ball. But he was obviously behind him by that time.
Well, I meant to pick 6. I'm sorry.